Aaron Sheik wants to know what was the most unique venue you've ever seen a wrestling event held in? We've seen some crazy ones through the years.
Times Square.
Yeah, that's probably got to be yeah.
Yeah, Times Square. Being in Times Square at noon anyway, but be in Times Square on a Friday at noon and shut it down and put a ring in the middle of Times Square and have your audience there and try and put together a show is insanity, but very cool. And then next would be Wall Street. But we've done some incredible things. I know,
Penn
uh,
Station was on the list too.
yeah, but that was easy. I mean, that was indoors. You
Okay.
know, outdoors, man, you get in Mother Nature's territory, and she doesn't always like to talk to you ahead of time, tell you what she wants to do. So it's interesting, and this is for another time, but during the pandemic, some of the suggestions of things to do, I wanted to do abandoned asylums and abandoned prisons and things like that.
Mm.
You're These are places that are abandoned. Nobody's in them anyway, so you don't have to worry about COVID and social distancing or anything like that. It would added a unique location to make the show different just in and of itself. So the location would in many ways been the attraction, but you weren't having crowds and everything. So we tried to look at different ways to present it.
Great question here from Bringer of Steam, who wants to know if Triple H had been healthy at the time, how would Bruce have booked his role in the invasion angle? So let me just say, who would you have programmed him with? So we know like it wound up being DDP and The Undertaker, and we got, so we know all these different versions, Booker T and Stone Cold. Like, who would Triple H have paired off with in that scenario?
Well, the idea was for Steve and Triple H to be a team and just to be on a whole power thing and go through everybody. And those talent were Undertaker and God, I know Undertaker was a big one, but look, it really wouldn't have been the invasion angle per se, at least at that time.
Let's do another one here. This one is from Jeff. He wants to know if you could go back and change the outcome of any WrestleMania main event, what would it be?
WrestleMania 9, Bret and Yoko with Hogan coming out.
What would you have done instead?
I think I would have just had Yoko squash Bret. Well, no, I mean, they would have had a match. It's just the Yoko did the thing, boom, squish him, and be done.
All these hardcore Bret Hart fans, ever since we did WrestleMania 9, have just blistered our ass about that conversation. And when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, I didn't think that. I thought for sure he was going to say 17, so he wouldn't have, Austin turn heel and shake Vince's hand. But you're like, nah, just beat Bret, but faster and just roll.
No, not faster. No, not faster. It's just a decisive squish and hard fought battle, but like to leave it with who is going to be able to overcome this mammoth
I get
Yokozuna. That. And your best shot going into it is your champion. And Bret can't do it. And Bret gets squashed in the end. And it's like, who could possibly survive that? And unfortunately, Yoko does that and then gets leg dropped and pinned 2 minutes after that.
Axe Cutter wants to know what's Bruce's favorite Royal Rumble memory? Do you have one favorite Royal Rumble moment?
The first time that we had Diesel just kind of run through everybody was pretty cool. That was fun. That worked. That actually probably worked better than we even imagined it would. We thought it all out. We're like, well, this will be so cool, man. It's like this big bastard. Everybody comes in, he just dumps, and it's so devastating. And I thought that was cool. Before that, I wasn't there, but the Flair '91 was absolutely tremendous. I just thought that whole battle royal was booked great until the finish.
You're gonna get 100 tweets about it. So he meant 92. He
Okay,
meant Royal
92.
Rumble
Thank you.
92.
You know what I meant.
I know what you
Don't
mean.
listen to what I say. Listen to what I mean.
James says, what was Vince's reaction to the Sandman entrance at ECW One Night Stand after paying for the rights to Metallica's Enter Sandman? I was there that night. It was unbelievable, but I never thought to ask you, what did Vince think of that entrance and that presentation?
Who asked that question?
That's James.
James, you were there. You tell me. I wasn't there. I didn't do any of those ECW pay-per-views at all. So I couldn't tell you, man. I was never
where was he on people coming through the crowd? Did he like that as opposed to the ramp?
It depended on the person, I think. You know, if it was right and it felt good, then yeah, do it. But I didn't do any of the ECW stuff, man. I let them do their stuff.
Here's a question from Thomas. He says, after just watching Clash at the Castle, what show or event has had the best live crowd, in your opinion?
Ever? Man, I go back to WrestleMania 17. I thought that Houston crowd
They were
in
hot.
the Dome, that was absolutely incredible all night long. The pop when Linda McMahon stood up out of the wheelchair, just deafening. It was they were into everything that we did. That was incredible, and just stands out for me. And it's probably sentimental because it was Houston, and I was there, and it was just very, very cool. Just in general, man, you know, it's listening to the audience in Toronto with Hulk and Rock. Remember just standing on the floor and looking around going, they know that Rock's the babyface, right? And they didn't give a fuck. They wanted Hulk Hogan. They wanted their guy. They wanted red and yellow. They didn't want this fucking Hollywood bullshit. They wanted red and yellow Hulk Hogan. And that's the power, you know, when you talk about the NWO and how great it was and everything that it did. At the end of the day, the bigger audience, the overall audience, wanted Hulk Hogan, red and yellow. They didn't want that fucking Hollywood shit. That wasn't true to them, and that was so when I preached about, man, different audiences, the WWF audience, WWE audience, and WCW audience, different audiences. WCW audience hated Hulk Hogan, red and yellow, because he represented everything from the other guys. But WWE, they wanted their Hulk Hogan. They didn't want that. Yeah, why is he doing the beard black and shit? It's stupid. So that was a big that one was a big one. That was an incredible reaction to be on, and I got to be on the floor for it. So you're in the middle of it, and I love to do that.